Hi, welcome to the last panel of the day, and we're going to talk about multi-chain, purpose-built networks driving data, compute, and liquidity. Let's get started with a round of introductions. Can you tell me your name and your role and what you're building? Let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. So, my name is Shabam. I'm the head of ecosystem at Manta Network. Before that, I have worked with other layer twos like Polygon, Mantle, specifically on the gaming. But yeah, that's pretty much about me talking about Manta. So, we were initially a layer one, then pivoted to layer two. Since 2021, we have been in space. Right now, our major focus has shifted from infrastructure to the product side. So we are launching products on different chains plus Manta. So, yeah, happy to discuss more about it.
I'm Jens. I'm the chief scientist at Nexus. Before that, I was a professor at UCL and developed a lot of zero knowledge proofs that we're using today in the ecosystem. So it's like fantastic to see that adoption. And now at Nexus, we are doing verifiable computation at internet scale. And these days, we're very focused on verifiable finance.
Hi, everyone. I'm super happy to be here at a multi-chain panel on Multichain Day. I think it's the best topic to talk about today. My name is Charlie. I'm head of ecosystem and marketing at Aurora. We've been doing a lot of different things. I'll try and keep it short. We started on making near protocol EVM compatible. Then we launched a blockchain as a service solution, launching EVM L2s on top of Near protocol. Then we built something which is called Near Intents, which is one of the leading cross-chain DEX in the industry right now. A company spun out of it called Diffuse Labs. And because we have such an great expertise in this cross-chain DEX, which is called Near Intents, we build a cross-chain launchpad. So think about you can participate from 20 different chains in project from different ecosystems. So we're trying to break this whole silo of ecosystems.
Hi, and I'm Philip, Chief Product Officer at Flare. Been in the space for quite a while. Flare is what? A layer one EVM chain, which was purposely built to deliver high quality data. So security was a non-compromising thing. And as soon as we discovered that bringing data pretty much requires you to bring a bunch of computation, we also expanded to computation space, but again, very specifically verified what you're getting, verified the data and so on. And now we're moving more and more into the ability to abstract those things away so that it's not just for a few people that know how to build it, but it's pretty much for everyone to just build on top of it.
Excellent. What a good crew. I'd like to know what it is that differentiates your chain from similar chains. What are you building that's adding to the many other chains that already exist?
Okay, so I think so. It should be controversial, right? Because it should be going live and everyone is listening to it. So I think so. Right now, initially when we started, so we were the only privacy chain with Astat, but we were parachain that particular time. But then we moved out of parachain. We started with layer two. Still, that time we were not the one only layer two, but there were just 5 layer twos that time in the market in 2022. But now, as I think so, like every chain is somehow similar. Someone is providing better TPS, but they don't have users. Someone is providing good technology, or maybe they have a lot of users, but the all users are traders. So everyone has these components into the chain. But when we talk about at least technology of a particular chain. So let's say Manta is a ZK or OP stack, but still there will be other 5 chains who are doing the same thing with a different ecosystem, but with the same category of the project. So we thought it was a good thing. Initially, we started sorting out the infrastructure. I think so. Like we have a lot of technical people over here. They know that infrastructure is still sorted right now, but we don't have users that much who can use this technology. So we thought instead of like just going towards the infrastructure, which doesn't bring that much revenue as a chain, we focus on a product which can actually generate revenue. As he mentioned about intents. So I was checking out the intents for Near, and they are generating a good revenue on that because they have right now a business model which people are using and paying for it. But for a chain, it is not the case, right? So I thought like maybe instead of going just with the infrastructure, we try to focus on the products. Everyone wants to do that. Everyone is trying to launch their own products on their own chain. We thought, what if instead of going with our own chain, we go with the different chains as well. So let's say Near is famous for AI. If we are launching a product on AI specifically, instead of launching it on Manta, creating a new community for it, we just launch it on them. We generate the revenue. Whatever revenue comes, we bring it back to Manta to buy back Manta token, because I think everyone has previously or maybe launched a token. They know once your token is launched, nobody cares about your product. It is all about your token price. So it's better whatever they want, we just give it to them, right? So that was the first focus. As I started with the growth part and the technology. So we launched two products. One was more on the meme side. So instead of launching it on Manta, where we have just 3 meme tokens or 5 meme tokens, we launch it on Solana, which can bring more revenue to us, right? So that was the focus. So right now at current stage, I think so, I don't know much chains who are doing products internally which is launched on different chains and bringing back the revenue. I think so that can be a different point, but on the infrastructure side, I'll just be honest, we are same to other chains which are launched into the market.
At Nexus, we have a few advantages. So one part we're doing is, since we're really focused on verifiable finance right now, and that's sort of like leveraging the work that we've done previously on verifiable computation. So we're trying to make every financial transaction verifiable and something that users have a proof that it's done correctly. And the first thing that we're doing to explore this space is that we've just launched an alpha test network with a decentralized exchange and central limit order book exchange. So we're very excited to see how that goes and how it can drive the adoption of the system that we have and get liquidity into the system. And the story is sort of like what is the technical background and foundation for this is our work on verifiable computation. We have a CKVM, we have a compute network that does a lot of powering. We now have built a layer 1 based on Cosmos, and so like having all that sort of like drive the effort and leveraging the ecosystem we build up around that is sort of like what we think will sort of like drive also the adoption of the DEX and complement the full stack.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
From our side, the big difference is, so we've been focusing on launching chains on top of Near protocol, and the big problem of many chains is liquidity and how they can access liquidity from other ecosystem, etc. And how we solve this is by every chain that launches, every EVM chain that launches with us is directly listed on Near Intents. So you have access to liquidity from over 20 ecosystem. And this, for anyone who's new in the space and trying to build, it's the only solution, I believe, that you should go with, because it allows you to not need to create some crazy incentive program to attract liquidity to your ecosystem and focus on building great product for users and not care about all this other stuff.
Well, for us, really the main deep down differentiator is definitely the fact that our validators, our block producers, are a bit more than that. So we require every validator to also be part of the FTSO system and also the FDC system, which in short means that they also have to provide data and computation to chain. This gives us the ability to tie everything the chain ingests with pretty much the same power as the person who's building the blocks. And everything can then build on top of this. So the cross-chain connectivity to non-smart chains, to how you lock things, it pretty much relies on the fact that the block builder also know what's happening on Bitcoin, also know what's happening on the XRP ledger. And the crucial part that then we pretty much capitalized on this is that we were able to get the communities that were otherwise a bit indifferent to the, let's say, DeFi. Maybe a famous quote from a VC was, nobody from the XRP is going to use DeFi at all. But once you give them the ability, once you show them, look, here's a trustless way, here's a non-custodial way to access the ecosystem that was before that unavailable to you, you pretty much see that they have the same ideas, they want to explore the same things. And this really differentiated us. So for example, we opened F-Asset Bridge a bit more than a month ago, and more than 60% of it was immediately deposited in DeFi, just because people wanted to see what those other people were able to do in the last few years. So really capitalizing on I would call not really the laggers, but the communities that were up until now thought of as fringe and no, they don't really care about this. And I think that's one of the main things that is really left to explore, to see how we can leverage a bit more. Everybody's talking about institutions, but the question is, okay, can you show the institutions that you really have something that is palatable to them? You're not just selling them the same yield over and over again. You gotta really show them that this is something new, this is something amazing. So I think, and really starting with the validator, this is secure, and then building step by step by step.
Thank you. All good answers. Let's get a hot take. Charlie, give us your hottest, spiciest take because we want to debate you.
I'd say many projects have been focusing on onboarding new user from the Web2 world. And I think we should try and clean our house before trying to invite people, in a sense that I'm going to repeat something that's been repeated forever, which is better UX, safe tool to use, safe, stop using crazy lingo, try and simplify stuff. Tribalism is great. It's something I really like, being part of communities, etc. But we need to be more open on people failing, not understanding how things work. So yeah, cleaning up our own home before trying to invite people.
Interesting, but don't you need millions of users to be a legitimate protocol or chain? Don't you need millions of users to be a legitimate chain or protocol?
I think you can have millions of users, but if your users are not able to understand your unique selling point and use your product, it's useless. We build amazing product. As I'm working in marketing, my job is to translate this product in an understandable manner to onboard people. And our work is tremendous because we have the best engineers in the world working on the best product, but there's still a huge gap.
Can I disagree a little bit here? Because you said we needed to clean our own house first, but I don't think there's such a thing. You have to meet the users, right? So you have to get the users in. You have to get the feedback from them, right? And in some sense, you have to have some that are willing to suffer through the bad UX, right? I mean, we just launched a closed alpha of our DEX. We know it's not going to be a perfect DEX, but we want people who are going there to give us feedback and say, hey, that thing is wrong, that thing is horrible, right? And when we can fix it.
So totally agree with this also. But then you have different level of users. You have new users, but I agree you need to have people testing out your product. You need to have new user who doesn't have experience to give you fresh ideas. But we still far, I think, way too far from being able to onboard those million users and allowing them to use as much as possible our products.
I would go with Jens here a bit more. So obviously, I'm always preaching, abstract things away, make them nice. But what has always struck me was that we do a bunch of stuff with our validators, and we have a group that's very, very active. And every time we release something that's kind of like, look, guys, look, folks, this is really in a beta stage. We're going to be moving this to mainnet at some point. You always get somebody that's pretty much typing to you, I don't know, 3 a.m. saying, oh, I've been testing this thing, I've been upgrading this, and if you change this a bit more, it's going to get better. And I'm always impressed. It's the very small minority of users that are so intent on testing things out and saying stuff and saying, look, I've tested this, can you upgrade it to that point? And you are so involved in the technology, and obviously you know everything is going to be right and you know what direction it should take. And I think that we should at some point be able to ship smaller things to users a bit faster to say, look, play around. We understand that this is fragile thing, but it's blockchain. We're exploring. We're seeing what can be new. And I'm always impressed with the feedback you get. Oh, I've been playing around with this. This is great. But can you add this thing on top of this that nobody else had thought of? Obviously, for the full adoption, you need to nicely abstract it away. But there's so many things you miss if you want to polish the things up to full perfection. Obviously, hot take, you should never release stuff that's not fully secure. There's a line here, but you should always release things that people can play around and break them in a manner that they're meant to break.
Now that I think about it, I think I'm tempted to argue against myself. So my point is, and I do think there's a real risk when we onboard users, right? Which is the security aspect of it. And it's one of those things you cannot test it. And it's not something you have to sort of like do the theoretical analysis and so forth beforehand, right? And I do think we've seen in the Web3 space an enormous amount of vulnerabilities and bugs and bridges that get compromised and things like that, right? So I do think there's something there where we need to protect the users, and I think that's not just about building secure systems, but I also think we have a pure way of communicating what is actually secure. You would expect by now that Web3 was a more mature space, and people would just stay away from the bad things, but that's not what we're really seeing either, right?
Okay, so I think so. Like everyone was talking about the technical networks and about the validators, about the UI UX as well. So my personal opinion is like when I joined the space 2020. So that time, even when I left my traditional banking job and came to crypto, my parents were like, "Why are you doing all this thing? This is so risky. Even if this industry will sustain or not." The reason behind that was everyone was not looking into the technology. People were not sure if that is going to work. Now, if we already have like 20, 30 chains, infrastructure providers, let's say we have 5 people, we have 2 chains over here, 2 infra providers. Feel like whatever project or whatever technology you are building, let's say ZK proofs, you have already completed that. We have sustained and we have proved that model, right? Now it comes to what if I tell all of them that let's go and use ZK proofs? They don't know the direction, right? They can't come and use it. We need some front end or a project which is using on the back end side a ZK proof, which comes. We can shill them that particular project, and then in the background we use all these things. So now I think we are in between of infrastructure and the product. Initially all the products in crypto was related to trading, nothing else. So right now, even if we talk about bridge, it is about token. Even if we talk about launchpad, it is about token. Even if we talk about any technology, it is about somewhat related to a trading mechanism which is supporting it. So I feel right now, so I personally come from Manta, but I still love WorldCoin a lot. I've been like following them from a lot of time. So the best part about them is they created an application which is World App. If I don't know if you guys know about it, but they have very simple UI UX. You could just go. My mother used it to recharge her phone with bitcoins. That is so simple, right? If what if we create and focus on these products rather than infrastructure? Because I don't think so. We need 100K TPS because I don't think we have 100K users doing same transaction on same network with the same DEX or anything. Because 100K transactions at 1 second, I don't think so. Anyone L1 or L2 is doing in the per second side. So if we have achieved that level of like adoption, so I don't think so we should have been talking about the infrastructure now. So if we are already sorted on the infrastructure side, why are we still focused on the creating new source of like infrastructure SaaS models? I think like it is necessary to upgrade it, but I still feel that every chain, every project will focus more on the product side, so we'll have a mass adoption. We have initially not seen in 2022 where a project launched first and they launched their own chain. It was opposite, right? Once they have the chain, they launch their own products, which we are also doing. But now Hyperliquid, we have seen a lot of other projects who were initially a product, they saw a lot of adoption and they launched their chain. So I think so infrastructure can be still on hold right now, but I still focus that there can be a new products which can be a good reason where I can shill a random person that you don't have to worry about the technology which we are using in the background. You just come hold it. I think like money market instruments like stablecoins are the best example. In developed nations, you don't get reward or not reward, I mean, yield on your saving accounts. But what if you just hold a token which is generating a yield? That is a good option for you, right? That is how I think so. Like we should have an option where maybe in marketing, you just explain someone that you just hold this token. It is actually coming from the government bonds and you just earn something out of it. So that is an easy way, right? If I tell him that we have a ZK proof thing, which is going to do this and that, we will bring all these assets on chain. That is too complicated for me as well.
All right. Let's start with Philip on this one. And I think we might already know Charlie's answer to this one, but we are at Multichain Day. So how do you balance being purpose-built with being multi-chain or cross-chain operations?
I think it's very clear for us. So you gotta really know what your main point is, and you got to know where you need to use the tools that are already available. So like I said, so we know that we have a proper security stack looking at every chain, but connecting to other EVM chain, we went with layer 0. That's it. So we did not build our own bridge. Yes, we could, but we choose an existing one because it works, it has liquidity, and it gives you so much access and allows you to build much, much faster. So there are a few clear-cut decisions here, and we pretty much, yes. So we went with layer 0. Obviously, you went with an existing language. Obviously, you went with an existing, let's say, validator type with an existing consensus. So we pretty much want to focus on things that's making you unique, and the rest you pick up from the community because things work, they're audited, they have the user traction, and you can easily use them, and the users are used to them. That's pretty much it. So that's usually our decision. Do we build it on our own because we know that's our core product? Those would be computations, those would be data, those would be validator set and how we connect them, bridges to other EVMs, Stargate and layer 0.
And when you build, are you thinking, let me make sure that what I'm building will work with existing components like bridges from other existing chains?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you do. So we really have to think that we're building infrastructure. So we're building a highway, which means that the crucial thing that's on a highway is it's not the lanes, it's the car that's going to be driving on. So composability here is pretty much crucial. Whatever we're doing on, let's say, our specific bridge has to be immediately composable with everything else, because that's the only way to allow people to build something more than we've done. Otherwise, you have to do it everything yourself, and that's just not going to work.
No. Do you want to answer?
Yeah, definitely. What we've been focusing at Aurora forever was to support founders and people who want to build things. So this is why we started by making near EVM compatible. Even today, we're seeing projects that are not EVM shifting to EVM. So making things more accessible, multi-chain, etc. But it seems still EVM based. Then we launched this tool that allows people to launch chains. Something we realized is that maybe 95% of the chains out there, they're all the same. They are marketed as purpose built for finance, etc. But if you look under the hood, it's the same kind of logic. So we built something that allows people to focus either on the messaging or the product they're building with the technology by launching chains. And then there's been this launchpad that we built recently. And here it's really, we've been trying to focus on helping them access this whole liquidity that's distributed everywhere, that all those ecosystems did a great job on accumulating. And we're trying to help this liquidity to move from ecosystem to another. So we talk, for example, with Arbitrum to have a specific Arbitrum month where they'll be able to have their own project launching on Arbitrum, raise money from other ecosystems such as Solana, Base, etc. So we're trying to make the money move everywhere and invisible for everyone.
Jens?
I think it's a very interesting trade-off you have between whether something is purpose-built or so like general purpose. And we've sort of like had the same considerations. We are also going with something which is EVM compatible, so existing ecosystems can easily go and use our system at Nexus. At the same time, I mean, it sort of like ties closely in. I mean, if we sort of like very deep in the technical stuff, right? We use zero knowledge proofs, right? And we can do sort of like general purpose computation. So we support RISC-V processors and other CKVMs support different types of systems. But at the same time, you can also tailor and you can sort of like build precompiles that can do very specific things and verify that, right? And if you suddenly then go up in the stack, right, that gives you an advantage. We can build these CK code processors that can basically take in, some complex sort of like special purpose functionality, right, and verify that. And you can sort of like do the execution off chain outside, right, and you can just verify it on chain. I actually think there's a lot of like technological flexibility that we can build into our systems there. And then I think the question becomes, how do we combine these sort of like trade-offs, right, and these kind of different tools we have?
on the ecosystem side and specifically on the multi-chain side, so as I mentioned, whatever we are launching now, purpose built or generic purpose. So I think so. And at the back end, every chain either has a USP, like they have a specific purpose, or they are generic purpose. In generic purpose, there might be some particular chains who have a certain particular area or maybe a region. So let's take an example. So if we talk about BNB chain, so we all know it is a cult from Southeast Asia, and specifically Chinese people prefer using BNB chain. If we talk about Base, everyone knows that somehow it is related to uh, Coinbase. So people from the institutions and stuff might prefer Base. If we talk about Ethereum, everyone use Ethereum for security. So based on all these things, whenever Manta wants to launch something, whenever we have to launch any products, like last two, we have launched two products right now. The third one, which we haven't announced it, but we are working with some pioneers like ex co-founder of Risk Zero, ex co-founder of GSR. So they are building a product which is related to a TradFi ecosystem, which all the authorized participants used to do, like say suppose JP Morgan and stuff with the ETFs. But now we are bringing that on chain. So we know that all these assets are major having liquidity either on Ethereum or maybe any big other chain. If we bring it to Manta right now, so it will be bit difficult to scale it from the zero, right? So I think so like the product which we are launching next will be on Ethereum. And that's how like what we are planning to do is all these products will be launched on different chains. All these revenue will be bringing back to Manta. And it is our internal product. So whenever we want, we can just launch a front end or a back end. We can just integrate Manta. As he mentioned, that every product eventually comes to EVM and everyone has a mass adoption for EVM. So it's very easy for us to bring it back to the home. So what we are planning, so first, all these three products go, bring the community over there. We bring that community, integrate it to Manta and bring more rewards over here so that we eventually has a circle where all these users also can easily come to Manta. So we already have all the ecosystem. So we have been building the mainnet since 2023. So I think so like we have a lot of time. We already created all the products which we wanted, like the infrastructure wise, like bridges, dexes, lending protocols, and everything. So now it's more about the users, how we bring them on. So I don't want the same users who are using like maybe other chains. I want the new users, maybe like 10,000. We don't want a million or a billion users, just 10,000 users, even if they are loyal to your network and they are coming because of your network. So it's a big success for you.
Thank you. And I think you just gave the hottest take of the day, which is that 10,000 good users is better than a billion medium users.
Or maybe the
Crap
same users
users.
who are the
Same, yeah. Okay. Well, we have 1 minute left. Do we have any more spicy hot takes?
But if nobody else, I kind of have to address the Cloudflare thing today. So I said before, so there are some things you can play around and see what users think, and there are some things you just can't play around, and security is one of them. And there's a reason, and we sometimes forget that you have two aspects of security. One is proper security, so who can change the blockchain, and the one is liveness. And there's a reason that companies gives SLAs in traditional industries. So, and I think with blockchains, we're very quick to say, okay, security is a meme. Obviously, nobody cares about this. And my hot takes always remains the same. Security is like insurance. You don't need it until you do. And at that point, you very well be properly insured. And we sometimes forget about this liveness assurance because it's very simple and efficient to have a single sequencer because it's easy to build, easy to do, and very nice to monetize. But at some point, you might not be able to withdraw something and not get liquidated.
7 seconds.
7 seconds. Okay. I just want to really agree with that. I think it's right on point. I think it's also very difficult because there's a trade-off between do you build for the average case or the worst case when it comes to liveness, right? Do we want to build a chain which is very secure and under denial of service attack still has a reasonable throughput? Or do we just want to optimize for the average case where there's no denial of service attacks and all the nodes are uncompromised, they're just honest and up and running, right? And that's what gives the best user experience most of the time.
All right. Thank you all so much for the panel and have a great rest of your time at Devconnect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.